mentioning a white guy, you never say this white guy. You say these guys. So why when you mention a nigga, listen to me. Why when you mention a black guy, you have to say this black guy? Say, but see,
Romanian language is coming from. You have to respect each other. Come on. Respect.
But it looks as if the Basaksehir players are potentially going to refuse to continue. And they are, yeah, leaving the field of play. And now the Paris players will follow suit. Left with little option. The conversation's continuing as Thomas Tuchel and his team now head down the tunnel.
Champions League Tuesday recap. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Que Golazo. We have all the information, all the news, all the latest context from Parc des Princes as Jonathan Johnson give us all the info regarding PSG against Istanbul Basaksehir. We have Jimmy Conrad to talk about all the games as well. Stay right here. Que Golazo begins right now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Que Golazo Tuesday Champions League recap. Straight away, we have Jonathan Johnson from Parc des Princes, who will give us the complete breakdown on everything that happened with PSG facing Istanbul Basaksehir. JJ, take it away. Please set the scene and the latest as we're taping.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, I wish it was under better circumstances, but obviously what has happened has happened. So basically, just after the 20-minute mark, the game went on a longer pause than usual. Red card was flashed, and it turns out the Basaksehir assistant coach, Pierre Weber, was shown the red card. And at that point, it became a bit more than a discussion. There was a lot of commotion, all of the players gathering around. More like a scuffle. And then, after a very lengthy break, both sets of players went off. Emotions have been running high. The Basaksehir players went off first. The PSG players were close behind. We saw, Demba Ba confronting the fourth official in question, who's been accused of using racist language. We've seen that the PSG players were in the tunnel waiting to know whether they were going to be sent back on or not. And there's been little in the way of official communication from UEFA, except where they stated that there was an incident, ongoing in the match. There has still been no official communication at the time that we're taping that the match has been postponed or cancelled. But what we are hearing from Basaksehir's communication staff is that the game will be played again tomorrow. I can't tell you whether it will be restarted or completely replayed. I imagine that it would be restarted, but we'll have to wait for official confirmation. But it's taken the best part of 2 hours to even get close to some sort of official word on what's happened. Just us, the journalists in the stadium, have been left completely hanging, out here waiting for some word about it. And the only sort of updates we've really had is from what we can see from our vantage point in the stadium, and that was sort of about an hour, more than an hour after the incident had taken place and the players had come off, that the staff from the two sets of teams had come and picked up all of their different items from the technical area. So at that point, we had a solid idea that the match would not be resuming in the aftermath.
So as we're taping right now, Jonathan Johnson here with Jimmy Conrad, Que Golazo Pod. As we're taping is a few minutes after the regular games have ended. There's still a lot of information as JJ just brought it down, but according to reports, as you mentioned, JJ, that the game will be played tomorrow according to 7 p.m. local time. Still waiting for official confirmation, obviously, from both clubs. And as to your point, whether it will be, from the moment the game stopped or restarting all over again, as you mentioned, presuming that it'll be from the moment the game stopped. Jonathan, before you leave us, because I know that you're still at the stadium, just what was the scene? What did it feel like? Like, obviously, there was a lot of tension to hear from, as we're watching, it wasn't just Istanbul Basaksehir. Obviously, Istanbul Basaksehir set the tone, but also Neymar, Kylian Mbappe were right in the face of the officials. PSG squad also joined in unison to really, condemn this situation. Demba Ba, of course, a tremendous voice right here. Unprecedented scenes, but really needed and very, very important as we can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just shocking, really, to see, racism rear its ugly head once again and impact football at this level. I mean, for it to have come from a member of the officiating team is just shocking in this day and age. You really wouldn't expect it, from that kind of source. I think the players have to be applauded for the stance that they've taken. Wasting little time in getting off the pitch. This has to be tackled really seriously. But for me, in a decade of covering football, being live at the stadium, I've never seen anything like this. And I've covered a lot of things over the years. I was at Stade de France for the attacks in Paris all those years ago. The confusion surrounding this, is something that I've never experienced. It's, you've been left in the dark for so long. There's been there's been little way to actually get official word about everything that has happened. And it's been a lot of the journalists trying to band together to piece together exactly what has happened. You've got a lot of people taking to social media. I mean, Kylian Mbappe saying that he's with Pierre Weber, the assistant manager of Basaksehir, who was in question, who was shown the red card and who sparked this incident. And it's going to take a while for us to dig through all of this, to piece together exactly what happened in which order, and for UEFA to work out exactly how they're going to tackle this and stamp it out moving forward, because it's not a good look, everything that has gone on this evening at Parc des Princes.
And as you're talking, Kylian Mbappe tweeting, "Say no to racism," and showing support for Weibo. "We are with you," he says. And as you mentioned, of course, more ongoing information in terms of what happened with PSG against Istanbul Basaksehir. Jonathan Johnson from Parc des Princes, we always thank you for your immaculate reporting and all the information. And I'm sure we'll be joined with you once again to discuss even more, especially if this game indeed happens on Wednesday. JJ, thank you very much from both myself and Jimmy. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Usually a pleasure, just not so much this evening for obvious reasons.
Hey, everybody. That was Jonathan Johnson from Parc des Princes, obviously echoing Jimmy, what Jonathan said. We don't want to talk about this. We would rather be talking about the games, but this issue, this horrible toxic cancer that still exists, not just in the game, but everywhere, has to be discussed, has to be fought. And indeed, from what we saw, not just of Demba Ba, but everybody else, walking away and standing against, racism and everything that goes for it. I would love your thoughts on it from what we just saw here on Tuesday night.
Yeah, my first thought is that it's unacceptable. To echo what JJ said, from a referee, no less, somebody who his job is to make sure the game is held at a high standard. So for him to let slip allegedly a word that was a racial slur, but from what I understand, he wouldn't walk away if it wasn't something there. But just out of fairness, until we learn more about the situation. That said, I absolutely love that the two teams walked off the field, especially for a Champions League game, because that's going to trickle down to the rest of all the other leagues and all the teams around the world. Like if PSG and the Neymars and the Mbappes of the world, even though it didn't happen to them directly, can still join forces and say, hey, that's just not acceptable to anybody, whether it's our opponent, whether it's to us, it's just not acceptable. That's going to empower other clubs, smaller leagues to do the same thing. And that's how you stamp this out. This is how you get rid of it. And so I can't say enough that the courage that it took to probably make that decision, especially from the one that was actually imposed upon, the one that was, shown that word or whatever it was. Demba Ba, I love Demba Ba. I've always loved Demba Ba. For him to step up and then get into the ref a little bit, that's unacceptable. That sets the tone. And then you get everybody else on board. They immediately went off. I can't say enough about it. It's a good thing for the human race. I don't want to make it too overly dramatic here, but this is a really important, and I think we'll talk about this a lot moving forward, because I think this, again, will empower other clubs and other players to be like, this is unacceptable. And I think other teammates, because that's the key here, right? And we talk about racism a lot, Luis. It's usually because nobody says something to the one person that's being a jerk. I was going to say jerk. I was going to say dick. I was going to say a-hole at the same time there. And that was my word I came up with. But you need those people to feel, you got to say it like, no, this isn't right. And we're going to support you. And that is what's going to make the difference. So a hat tip to both of those teams for making that call, for having the courage to do so, like I said. I hope that it continues to have a positive impact and not be just something we don't think about in a couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, just to echo everything that you just said, something that we really need to remember, and obviously this is just terrible, and the fact that it came from an official, it's terrible, but, this is the moment where two teams, right, led by specific individuals, Dembaba being one of them, of course, came together and said, no, we're not doing this. It's not happening. Right. And Neymar gets so much heat for so many other things. And he was right up in the face, in the grill of the main referee, along with Kylian Mbappe, joining forces with Dembaba and other players, saying this is not happening. And they walked away. And, the other thing that I want to say is, like, this is the leadership that came from players. Nowhere else. It came from players. I mean, UEFA probably could have done a little bit more at the very beginning of this situation, and the players took the lead. And the other thing that I want to say, by the way, is that there's probably going to be a lot of rhetoric about exactly what the official said, and that maybe it was lost in translation and maybe it was ignorance over racism. Let me tell you something. They're not mutually exclusive. Okay. I'm sorry. They're not. All right. As somebody who understands all too well, the difference in cultural, lingo, whether you're from South America or Europe or the US, they're not mutually exclusive. You are right now, the eyes are on you as an official in literally the most multicultural global game tournament in the world. You need to understand what is happening in that moment. And also, your mic is on. We're going to be hearing everything that you're saying, or at the very least in an empty stadium, so regardless of everything, you need to be aware of the situation. And it's incredible to me, as you said, that it comes from an official. This isn't even a problem that we're talking about, Millwall fans or whatever. This is an official. And, it's amazing to me that it's still happening, as JJ also said, that it's still happening in 2020.
I don't know. From what I understand, this was a Romanian crew, or this particular referee was Romanian. I don't know what that means to anybody, but I just know that that's just where he's from. And I wonder, with regard to him in particular, once it gets proved one way or the other, and as you said, the mic's going to make it very clear what he did or didn't say. He's going to have to get fired if it's actually how it all played out. I don't suspect that those players or Dembaba or the assistant coach would have that type of reaction if he didn't say something. Like, that doesn't come out of thin air. So yeah, he should get fired. This is where I think the interesting point is, because we're in this kind of situation now, and it's very easy on social media to quote unquote cancel people. Is there a place to allow this referee to get rehabilitated? Is there a way for him to kind of earn that trust and respect, and, hey, I made a mistake and I can grow from this? So are we going to give people that make mistakes a growth opportunity to learn as human beings, and to maybe he'll see the light in a way that he never did, and he can actually empathize with people that don't look like him, right? And maybe there's a way to do that. I don't know. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but I also hope that there's room for that moving forward, that this guy isn't just like, completely canceled. If there's a chance, if he wants to learn from it. Of course, if he doesn't, and he's going to be stubborn and he's not going to apologize and all that good stuff, or it's an empty apology for sure. But I just want to make sure that there's room for that, because I think that's also part of how we're going to get past this as well, is that the people that were jerks before are now saying, listen, actually, I learned my lesson here. These are incredible human beings. They need to be treated with respect. And just like I want that same respect in return. And that's how I think we're going to continue to grow and continue to impact future generations in a real positive way.
Well said. And as we speak, as we all discussed, courtesy of Jonathan Johnson, this game is reportedly meant to happen tomorrow, Wednesday, 7 p.m. local time. I'm sure that by the time you hear this, maybe hours later, there will be more updates, but that's what we have. And that was the way that we had to start the show. We had to discuss this incident. Of course we did. And we will be right back to discuss the rest of the action, because there was plenty more to talk about on this Tuesday night in the Champions League. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Here, Que Golazo with Jimmy Conrad. There was a lot of other action going on in the Champions League on Tuesday, and we stay in the same group as PSG and Istanbul Basaksehir, Group H. And that is Leipzig RB Leipzig beating Manchester United 3-2. Jimmy, you called it. I called it. Jonathan Johnson thought it. I think Manchester United were going to struggle here. RB Leipzig were going to be an interesting matchup against a Man United that needed, but I thought no Cavani, no Martial. It was going to be tough. And Leipzig win it 3-2. Your thoughts on this game? A good day for Leipzig, another bad day for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, it's one of those things with Ole Gunnar. Which version of him and as a manager is going to show up? The one that somehow defies logic and wins big games, or the one that you're like, why? How does he even have a managerial job? How is that even possible? What's funny is that Luis, we give him a hard time, week in and week out, but then obviously we give him praise when he figures out something as well. He's probably going to win the Manchester Derby this weekend because, he lost this game. It's just, I don't know how it works, but it just seems to work out that way. They had to be disappointed with their start. Obviously, giving up a goal 2 minutes into Angelino was not the way you want to start any must-win game, and then giving up another one to Haidara 10 minutes later. That I don't say it was done and dusted at that point, but it just seemed like all the momentum was in favor of Leipzig. So fair play to their manager, their young manager, Julian Nagelsmann, for really kind of pressing the right buttons. And his team looked a little bit more hyped. I'll be honest. They looked like they were more up for it. They could see what was at stake, and I don't think United could match that right from the get-go. Obviously, United, as you said, missed some players. They had the Paul Pogba situation, his agent running his mouth. Pogba did end up coming on and scoring later. I had the draw on this one, and
nearly. It was nearly a draw.
Close. It was so close. I had the draw on over 2.5 goals plus 700. That was my flyer of the day. It could have been there. I just worry about the starting positions. I actually want to go back and watch the first 20 minutes because they have Telles on one side. They have Wan-Bissaka on the other. They got Luke Shaw kind of tucked in the back three with Maguire and Lindelof. And I just don't know I just felt like those gaps were exposed in a way that maybe we haven't seen. And now I feel like maybe Ole Gunnar was trying to maybe overthink it a little bit. And we see that even with the best managers, with Pep Guardiola overthinks a lot, especially in the Champions League. And so, yeah, disappointing performance overall for Manchester United. Even without those horses that were injured, they still had more than enough talent to get a result. It just makes me think when I look at that back line, are you going to really win anything of consequence with Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof as your center backs? Like, really? I don't care if you have De Gea at peak form behind you, McTominay in front of you, Matic. I mean, maybe Matic 10 years ago, Matic now. I don't know. That's just not like a team. When I look at the list of names, they're not going to win a trophy of consequence. And I mean that with all due respect to those players. I think they're solid, but I don't think they're trophy winning players that are going to really elevate Manchester United to this other level.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I'm with you. Here's the thing. My first original issue was, listen, how are they going to do this without Martial, without Cavani? Because, and actually we saw proof of it today because Mason Greenwood had some good chances. He's a great player, but he's not the complete package yet. Marcus Rashford, I still believe he's not at 100%. I think his shoulder's still kind of bugging him a little bit. And not everything can go through Bruno Fernandes, especially when you play with a team that kind of knows exactly what to do in the midfield. And then after that, I just thought that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went way too, and this is what we said, he went way too defensive. And if you're playing for the draw, normally that's just not going to happen. I just thought that you needed to take a page out of our friend Jesse Marsch here and just be like, you know what? I'm just going for it. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to start Paul Pogba maybe, or I'm going to put Juan Mata, who can be kind of the key in terms of assists and, trying to bring people in. Hell, I might even, go with Donny van de Beek from the very beginning and see what we can do there. And it just didn't happen. And I'm just like, it's like you said, like I keep saying sorry to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and well done to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it's just too much. And I tweeted it. I guess I was trolling a little bit, but Mauricio Pochettino would have gone Manchester United in the knockout stages. I'm telling you that right now. But
I agree with that. And Maxi Allegri, maybe even the same. He's another, top manager that's out there. And I look at the stats, United had more shots on goal, 8-4, more possession. But to your point with regard to Bruno Fernandes, if you start to key on him, that just means other players need to step up and create options for him so he can go pick up the ball in another space if that one is closed down. And that's why you need to bring in more of a Van de Beek or a Mata, somebody that kind of keeps the ball on the ground, is looking to combine, and just keeping the ball to keep the ball, but also to kind of shift some defending. And because of the intensity that I thought Leipzig came out with, I mean, their energy was fantastic. That's actually what I thought United should have done, and Leipzig beat them to it, and then obviously scored 2 very good goals to make it happen. I just think that that point also that the stats could be misleading because once they had a 2-goal lead, they didn't really need to push anymore. You know, they could just kind of sit back and look to hit on the counter. And they ultimately did with Justin Kluivert. That was a bad goal too, but fair play. Angelino played at NYCFC. He was fantastic. And
on loan from Man City.
I know. Unbelievable.
The Manchester derby came early, I guess.
It did. It really did. So,
but listen, also fair play to RB Leipzig because they literally just a few days ago played a 6-goal fest against arguably the best team in Europe. So, you know, the fact that they come here and they say, you know, we're going to do it again. We're just going to keep going. It's pretty commendable. Now, what's interesting, Jimmy, though, is that because PSG and Istanbul Basaksehir hasn't played yet, RB Leipzig's still top of the table. But obviously that will all come down to the game if it's played tomorrow, indeed, and then things will change there. But that's exactly how this group looks right now. With Leipzig, obviously, number 1 right now with 12 points. United in third with 9, and PSG without kicking a ball still sticks. If it's given as a draw, it's 1 point extra, but still, it doesn't matter. The game's going to be played. So,
yeah, the game will be played, and we'll see what ends up happening. You know, Basaksehir could rally around this. They could put out a good performance. Who knows? But what I'll say is that this is important 3 points now for PSG. It always was. They need to win so they can avoid playing a Bayern Munich or a Liverpool or Man City in the next round. That's the last thing that they want. In the round of 16, they don't want to face those teams to the quarters or semifinals to have a nice run back to the final like they had last season. They're gonna have to beat somebody good along the way, but if you can avoid those big ones, especially in the round of 16, that's a good thing. With Manchester United, destined for the Europa League. Enjoy it, boys.
Now, next up, Manchester derby. That should be fun. All right, let's talk about Barcelona against Juventus, Lionel Messi against Cristiano Ronaldo, and this one goes to Cristiano Ronaldo. He gets his brace. Yes, Penaldo, call him whatever you want. Who cares? 134 goals in the Champions League is no easy feat. The greatest goal scorer in Champions League history. And Juventus win 3-0. Weston McKennie, Jimmy Conrad.
I know.
What a ridiculous goal. I saw that tweet from you. You're winning the World Cup 2026. God, I love that American gusto. It's got to be good, huh? 3-0.
Yeah.
No, listen, talk to me about this game. That was a ridiculous goal.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous goal by Weston McKennie. Obviously very proud of just having an American out there in such a big match. I mean, I know there wasn't riding out of both teams are going to go through, but because of this result, Juve are actually now top of the group. They needed to win by 3 goals or more to go top of the group, and they did it. It was almost 4-0. Could have been 5, you know, a lot of good opportunities for Juve. I don't want to take anything away from Leo Messi in particular from Barcelona. I actually thought he played pretty well. It's just the players around him, you know, just let him down. He's got some young wingers that don't have that type of experience, especially against an Italian team that know how to defend, are very well organized. I thought Pedri and Trincao didn't do much. Pjanic against his former club didn't really show up. The back 4, even Serginho Dest to a certain extent, even though he wasn't really involved. I thought the center backs were poor. Just not a good performance overall, I'd say, for Barcelona. But I thought, all in all, I thought Messi came out to play and was ready to go. He just needs support for him to really have that magic that we all expect, just like any player would. And Ronaldo got it, and Ronaldo was up for it. So this was a bet that I called. I thought Juventus was going to win straight up, plus 235. I'm basically printing money for you guys. They had the better form. Barcelona came in. They're still lacking in identity. They're still lacking some very key players. There was only one way this was going, and this is not a big surprise to me. But yeah, fair play to the performance from Juve. And then Weston McKennie, obviously, I can't say enough about it. Just going, you know what I like about it the most, Luis, is that he looks comfortable out there. He doesn't look out of place, you know, and I think that's a big thing for us as Americans is we just want to be able to prove that we can run around with those guys, you know? Yeah, if we dominate, great. If we score a scissor kick like he did in this one, even better. But just that we're accepted, I think has been one of the biggest hurdles for us to overcome. And I think you see it too with Peruvians. Like when you go and you have Raul Ruiz Diaz here, or if you have any other players across the pond or whatever it is, you just want them to be accepted because they're good players. It doesn't matter where they're from. They're just good players. And you know, we fight a lot of stigma and stereotypes about what we're capable of. And I think now those walls are coming down. We're breaking through ceilings, and it's awesome to see. And obviously when you score a goal like Weston McKennie did, if you guys haven't seen it yet, go find it. You're going to be proud if you're an American, because it was sweet. No,
there's nothing else but to be super proud. And you make a very good point. It's not just about the fact that they're here and they're doing their thing. Like they belong. They belong. And that was a great goal. And I love the celebration. He went behind the camera and was like, you know, let's check it out again because it was so good. I love it. Here's a question for you, Jimmy. listen, thank God Barcelona are through, because like you lose to Cadiz this past weekend, you lose 3-0 and come down to Juventus. Good thing that you had, who else was in your group? Dynamo Kiev and Ferencváros. If this was another group where you kind of have like that group H with 3 really good teams, what would have happened to Barcelona then? And would Ronald Koeman's, job be done? I mean, I know that he just came in, but seriously, it's not good at Barcelona right now.
No, it's not. And I think one of the big things when I think about Barcelona, I try not to get sucked into the drama surrounding the team day to day. When I think about it, Ronald Koeman is sitting on I was almost at a throne of lies, which is from Step Brothers, but he's taking a position that he can't win because he has to transition arguably the best player of all time from Barcelona somehow, whether he leaves and goes to Manchester City, which is what I think is going to happen, or whatever it may be. Ronald Koeman, the courage that he has to take that job, knowing it's going to be a bit of a train wreck. I mean, I give it up to him, and the fact that he's kind of trying to stand tall throughout this. They're in trouble. And for me, with regard now to the Champions League, if I'm one of the number 1 seeded teams that won their group, I would love to play Barcelona right now. That said, Barcelona is going to probably look a little bit different in 2 or 3 months when the round of 16 drops off. I think that obviously your younger players get a little bit more experience. PK will be back. Maybe you have rested legs with Busquets. Obviously, Messi can win games by himself. And if he knows they can kind of rest him leading into those ones, that's something different. But all things considered, I wouldn't be scared to play Barcelona right now if I'm a Bayern Munich or a Liverpool. I think that those other teams are much better at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that should be interesting, especially next Monday when we see the Champions League draw and we find out who they have to play in the round.
I can't wait.
You're gonna be here at some point talking about it.
I will be.
So I can't wait either. So let's go around because there was so much going on, but I'll just mention the results, and then Jimmy, you can just tell me, some things. Borussia Dortmund winning 2-1 against Zenit St. Petersburg. Alex Witsel with 2 very quick, very good goals. Lazio saved by the crossbar. Ties Club Brugge, the crossbar, and Pepe Reina are saved, and Lazio make it for the first time in the knockout stage since 1999. That was quite something. Chelsea tie with Krasnodar. I completely even forgot Chelsea and Krasnodar were playing. That's how much was going on today. And Dynamo Kiev with that very precious 1-0 win, because I believe that's a Europa League spot.
It is
for them. So that's interesting. And Sevilla continue to really just damage the poor Rennes 3-1. Any thoughts from any of those games?
Yeah, I'd say really quick with Borussia Dortmund. They went down 1-0 to a Zenit team that had been struggling. They hadn't won at all in the group stages. And, they were in Russia for this one. Dortmund didn't start the 3 that I think we've come familiar with: Jadon Sancho, Gio Reyna, Erling Haaland. They went with Marco Reus and Witsel and Thorgan Hazard, and they got the job done. They turned it around, and they got a result. And I think that speaks to a little bit of their depth, which I think we both know that if they want to compete for the Bundesliga against Bayern Munich and actually have a deep run in this competition, they got to have some depth. They got to have these guys step up, and they did today. So I was pretty excited for them. If you're a Dortmund fan, a black and yellow fan, you got to be pretty excited about that. Now, with regard to Lazio, they pissed this one away. Frankly, they went up 1-0. I think they thought that was it. They only needed a draw. Oh, we got the 1-goal lead. We're Italians. We play the Catenaccio. We'll just sit back and absorb and hit them on the counter for the second one. Game over. We'll go smoke some cigarettes afterwards. And they fair play to Club Brugge. They came back right away, made it 1-1, and then it went 2-1. And you could see Lazio kind of then, they found the urgency again to make sure it didn't get too dicey. And then, as you said, they made some mistakes. Pepe Reina probably could have done a little bit better, but then they got lucky at the end. It could have gone the other way. Crazy game when it didn't need to be a crazy game. But fair play to them. Chiro the hero. Mobley scored again. Dinamo Kiev did what they needed to do. It's hard to shut out that Ferencváros team, so I respect that. Chelsea Krasnodar, I was hoping Christian Pulisic would play. He didn't play, so I was a little bitter about that. Kepa got to play. So for all you Kepa, I don't know if you're Kepa haters or not, but it wasn't a big surprise to see him taking one out of the back of his net. Let's just say it like that. And then finally,
I hate it when people hate Kepa. How could you hate Kepa?
You can't hate. Like, I actually feel sorry for the guy at this point.
Just redeem yourself in a new club and you'll be fine. He's still very young, people. It's not.
Yeah, and he was fantastic at Athletic Club de Bilbao.
Yeah.
So with regard, really quick about Rennes Sevilla. Sevilla scored another goal off a cross. They have to be one of the best goal scoring teams in the world. They're so good at it.
Yeah.
And what pumps me up is that people know that's what they're going to do, and they still do it anyway. And so I can't say enough about Sevilla. I'm a big fan of Julian Lopetegui as a manager. And now we're talking about teams that we wouldn't want to face in the round of 16. Sevilla is definitely one of those. I would not want to touch Sevilla over 2 legs in the round of 16.
Yeah, and they're really essentially a knockout kind of team, because they do or die. And to your point, it doesn't matter their strategy. They remind me very much of a Marcelo Bielsa system. Like they just go wide, they cross, and when they don't have the ball, they want it back straight away, and it's great to see. Just to confirm, everybody, PSG Istanbul will be played tomorrow at 12:55 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be part of those early matches in the Champions League, and it will be restarted from the 14th minute. So that should be something to watch for tomorrow as part of the early game. So there's a lot now tomorrow, Jimmy, a lot. And you can hear that actually because we already have the Wednesday preview. So aren't you lucky, people? So much content. Jimmy Conrad, anything else left to say before we say goodbye to you, Jimmy C?
No, I just want to take a deep breath, man. That was an exciting day of games. And I, of course, love to share it with you, Luis. So I look forward to tomorrow.
Absolutely. Jimmy C, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
I want to thank Jonathan Johnson and Jimmy Conrad for joining me today. Make sure that you keep listening to us as we have the Wednesday preview, as well as all the news regarding the rest of the week. And we'll have a weekend preview coming up later on. Join us right then. Thank you so much, and see you next time.